Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the September 2019 customer webinar. At today's customer webinar, Christine Masters, Director of Product Management, is here to highlight more than 20 ways you can grow your digital revenue. And we counted. There are more than 20 ways today. I'm Cherry Wolf, Marketing Specialist for TownNews. The presentation will take about 30 minutes and a Q&A will follow. At any point, you can type a question into the chat box, but we'll wait to answer them at the end. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available early next week. Christine?
Hello, thank you. Yeah, we're really excited about this presentation. I will give a little bit of a shout out to one of our technical sales specialists, Terry Sutton, who puts together a Blueprints for Success webinar. And some of these ideas are from that webinar, so if you haven't seen that before, definitely talk to your sales rep, and that's a great thing to get started. But so this is kind of like a best of that plus some additional ideas that we've had. Plus, we kind of reached out to some of our partners and also our sales reps and other departments and kind of tried to see if anybody was aware of some interesting success stories that they've seen recently. So this is kind of a compilation of all those things. So to get started, we're going to just go over basically ad-related things. We're also going to look at content items and how you can monetize and package together content in order to help make money, membership, login, and subscription options, and then some other things that we have ideas about. So first off, talking about advertising. We have an ad ops team and an ad technology team here at TownNews, where we're always working on new ways to do banner advertising and different types of ad technology that can help make money. We're working on things with different types of ad ways to show ads on the page, ad placement, refreshing ads, header bidding, different types of networks. And so we're constantly doing stuff like this all the time. I'm sure that a lot of you are on our weekly release notes. And if not, please sign up for that. But you'll see a lot of these things as we come out on a week-to-week basis with new ideas for ad technology and new placements and new functionality to help, increase CPMs, increase viewabilities in the ad space. But I wanted to talk about, just in case you missed a couple of weeks or of our release notes, or if you haven't paid attention to all of them, I wanted to go over some of the kind of the bigger ones that we've had in the last year or so. And I wanted to show really quickly a kind of a demo of a couple of them. So this is my test site, where, and it's a surreal experience, where I kind of play around with different implementations of things. And I just wanted to show kind of an example of, especially for using multi-size ads with Google Ad Manager and kind of programmatic ads. There's some really cool stuff that you can do. So kind of this example that I put on the front page here really just shows, it's a new block that we have available. There are a couple of blocks called the modular blocks. And this is essentially a single block that you can set up in a couple of different ways. And so what I've done in this example is I created a modular block that shows a specific section, and then I put a multi-size ad between the different blocks on my front page. So I've got a modular block of content, an ad, a modular block of content, and an ad. And you can see, and I kind of repeated this down the page. And then what happens, because it's a multi-size ad, it basically sends a request to Google Ad Manager for one of a number of different ad sizes, and whichever is the most expensive bid coming back from the networks, that one will win. So in this case, we have a billboard size ad 1, but in this case, a regular banner size 1. And then going down the page, now we've got a banner coming back in. So those different sizes just makes sure that you have the biggest CPMs are the ones that are winning in those spaces. This is also a very mobile-friendly design because of the fact that, when it's in a mobile grid, you're getting just a really nice mixture of ad content. Every couple of screens, you're getting a couple of screens of content and then an ad, and then a couple of screens of content and then an ad. And the way that the multi-size ads works is that whatever space is available, those are the ads that will fill that space. So it's a really nice way to do that. And again, the multi-size ads are just kind of a default way that our Google Ad Manager ads are set up. So it's just something that you can do in the actual Google Ad Manager block. And you just make sure that you have enough space to, if a billboard ad qualifies as the highest CPM, if you have enough space, it will show in that space. So this is kind of just a good example of how that will work. We also have some new technology that's available for refreshing ads. And it's something that you have to essentially turn on, and you can turn it on in various different ad spots or on the page in general. And you can kind of see here is that as I scroll down the page and back up, this ad refreshed, and now there's a different ad in the spot. So just by scrolling down and around in this page, by interacting with the page, it doesn't refresh unless the user is interacting with the page. But by scrolling down and up, I've actually generated a new ad impression for that specific site there. So it's really exciting, a lot of those stuff that we've done there. And like I said, one of the things that I kind of wanted to inspire in showing this page was that we do have a lot of these new technologies available with the refreshing, with the multi-size ads, with sticky ads. Those are ads that kind of stick to the page to ensure that they get really good visibility as you're scrolling down the page. Those things are now available, and it's definitely worth your time to, make sure that you're aware of the different type of technology that's available and how you can really optimize the experience and ensure that you have high viewability ads and a lot of these new positions that can bring more revenue to your site. So, and again, that's something where if you have pretty much for this whole webinar, if you have questions about a specific thing that I'm talking about or a specific platform, feel free to send us a ticket and let us know if you're interested in finding out more about a specific item, and we can help you work on that. So that was just a quick demo that I wanted to show there. A couple other things in terms of ad technology. If you have photo galleries or galleries that of articles or different types of collections on the page that have paging, you can put ads inside of those different pages between the collections. So that's something where, again, if you're not doing that currently, that's a great way to increase revenue. We have a vertical collection presentation where you can put an ad every couple of photos in a vertical collection. It's really mobile friendly, and you can kind of just scroll down the page. And again, you want to have that really good mix of a couple of content items and then an ad, and then a couple of content items and then an ad. So that's another really mobile friendly way to do things. I did want to talk just for 1 second about creative templates. This is something that, again, for the last several months, we've been working on with Google Ad Manager to create these creative templates. Essentially, it's a way in Google Ad Manager to do a more interactive ad type, and we now support several of these different types of interactive ads. There's a reveal ad, which is where a big ad loads at the top and pushes the whole site down, essentially. There's the wallpaper ads that load kind of on the side of the page. And then there's also a pencil ad where it loads as a thin strip and then it pushes the page down and then kind of goes back up. So all of those are things that we now have available as creative templates. This is something where, this is available in Google Ad Manager, but it requires some technical expertise to create. So now we've kind of done that work for you. And it's now supported by our system, and we do updates to it and fix bugs to them and things like that. So that's something where, again, if you've wanted to do those type of ads, that's something that we have now available. We also have, video pre-rolls. So if you're doing any type of video on the site, even have a viral video with a story, That's something where you can talk to us about having pre-roll ads on your videos. And then we also have now podcasts for, like, if you have an audio asset of a podcast, we actually have that working, that we're kind of experimenting right now. We're working with video ads. So you can actually have a podcast that's playing on the page and then have video ads that show up as a pre-roll on that site. So there's some really interesting things that we can do now. And again, this is something that we spend a lot of time working with our partners and doing R&D to really help come up with a lot of these different types of ads. And again, if you're interested in finding out more about any of these, feel free to either talk to your sales rep or submit a ticket, and we can help work with you on the things that you think are interesting here. So I'm going to go a little bit faster on some of these other ones, so they won't. That was just a big slide, but so a couple other things related to advertising. We have a couple of different options for in-article advertising. We are working on a new version of this, which we hope to have this, but by the end of the year, hopefully in the next month or so, where we are placing ads inside of the story automatically based on the character count, so that it's really mobile friendly and you have one character count spacing on mobile and then a different amount of characters on desktop. So that way you don't have a problem where, if you put an ad every 3 paragraphs, that's probably too much on desktop, but probably not enough on mobile. So that's something where, we're doing more algorithms detection there of the type of content that is there and how to place those things precisely throughout the story to optimize revenue, but also to maintain a good ad density within the article so that you're not violating any of those better ad standards, which hopefully you're aware of those. If not, you can Google it. And it's basically just Google and a consortium of different people in the industry kind of came together and set up these better ad standards. And if you're not meeting those standards, you might be ineligible for Google ads. So that's something to definitely watch for. And we always work, viewability is a big concern now in the industry. And that's something that all of our ads now are optimized for high viewability, and lazy loading means that the ad isn't loaded until it has the opportunity to be seen by the user. And that's a big benefit for advertising and the advertisers themselves. So all of those things are things that we're working on. And if you're interested in that, then, submit a ticket and we can talk more about that. A couple other things, if you are not doing this now, it's something to look at if you are a print product and you have either a coupon book or a magazine, anything like that, and you're doing ads on the print version. We have ways to digitize those and put those online, and you can do that kind of as a built-in upsell inside of the print ad itself. It's a great way to kind of an excuse to have a price increase, essentially. Same thing if you are a broadcaster and you have any kind of commercials that, local sites that you're working with to produce commercials for them, having those showing up on the website as well are things that is a great idea to make sure that you're using that content, that advertising content in as many places as possible. We have a specific program here that we call the Search Boost program, which just allows you to take any of that content that you've produced on other platforms like digital, like broadcasts, and take those and put them onto your site and make them exposed for searching on the internet. So it actually, this page over here as an example, this individual realtor's name, if you search for this person's name, it has a opportunity for this ad to actually come up in the search results for that specific area or for that specific person's name. So those become something that can be indexed by search engines and makes it a lot easier to find. So, but again, kind of the main point here is that if you're already producing a coupon book or a dining guide or anything like that for another platform, look at digitizing it, and then you can have a price increase for that, and it's a great way to increase revenue relatively easily. So another thing, we've had lots of different webinars about this, and we've talked about this a lot, but definitely be aware that we have an IQ Ad Ops program, which is basically our, an ad, I mentioned before that we have kind of an ad team and an ad technology team that we're always working with vendors to create this programmatic network that we can really help optimize revenue on any of your display ads on the site. We do header bidding, we do lots of different networks that we're working with. We optimize via the ads.txt integration. So there's a lot of things that we're doing to really help improve that programmatic ad experience. So if you're either trying to add more programmatic ads to your site, or you're already doing it, but you think that you might be able to increase your programmatic on your site, definitely talk to us about our Ad Ops program. I will say that I've been involved in a lot of discussions between our Ad Ops team and their partners, and they really work very closely with the individual sites and customers to help them kind of with all of these ad best practices that I spoke of before. So they're great at consultation. So that's something, again, to look at if you haven't been doing a lot of that on your site currently. One other thing to mention that is another way to kind of utilize the tools that we offer at TownNews to make more money for your organization. Consider a special targeted ad campaign for an advertiser. I'll just use an example of a home improvement store, for example. Let's say they come to you and say, hey, we're really interested in promoting our Windows, division, or a special sale that we're having, or something like that. You can actually use the IQ platform to create a specific targeted campaign for that advertiser. You could, for example, and this is kind of an example here of a poll that is on the page that you can ask people what their favorite poll, or what their favorite favorite fast food type is. Or for the example of home improvement, you could do a poll of, are you planning on doing a Windows upgrade in the next 6 months? Or you could ask them about, do you feel like your Windows are energy efficient? So you can ask these different kind of questions, and then the answers, how the user answers those questions, can actually be captured by our data platform, and then you can target ads to the people based on how they answered those questions. So you can put together a package for one of these big advertisers that has a data collection aspect, where you're doing some kind of contest or some kind of item to collect people with certain types of interests, and then you're using the IQ ad targeting to retarget those specific people based on their behaviors, based on the type of content they're interested in, or based on how they answered questions. So it's a really dynamic and high-tech way to put together a package for these advertisers and really allow them to do some, like I said, very forward-thinking type of campaigns, which can be very interesting. So, and again, that's something that is just part of our IQ Engage, IQ Ad Ops program, is that collection of data and then retargeting of those ads and content. So I mentioned a little bit the IQ Engage platform. This is, collecting user behaviors and then targeting them in terms of their targeted ads is the Ad Ops program. And then the IQ Engage program is really collecting their behaviors and then targeting content to them. So it's the same type of platform, but on the content side. This is just a really great way to optimize your site based on the type of users you have and based on the type of content they like. And in terms of increasing revenue specifically, one great way that you can do that with the IQ Engage platform is that based on the type of user that they are coming into the site, you can choose to show more ads or more content to that user based on the things that you know about them. So for example, if you see that they're coming in from Facebook, that's probably a user that is just a one and done user or a drive-by user, where they come to your site, they read the single article that they saw on their social platform, and then they're gone. They might not even know anything about your site or where you are or anything like that, right? And so for those types of users, showing a bunch of related content is probably unlikely to get them to click on another article. They're going to have a very high bounce rate. So in that type of scenario where you have these one-time kind of users coming in, you can, instead of showing them more content, you can add an additional ad to the page, or swap out one of your kind of recommended content. So in this example, you can see here that for a local user who's a good user who's going to click on a lot of content, you're optimizing their experience by showing them more content here. But if it's a social user or a one and done drive-by user, we're taking some of that content and replacing it with an ad. So we're optimizing that experience based on what is best, and how to increase user there, and how to increase revenue there. So there's a lot of ways that we can do that by really optimizing that experience and really using the space that you have on the page for creating the best experience for that specific user. So another one, we just had a couple of webinars about this recently, and we've talked about this a lot recently. So, but just in case you've missed it in the past, we do now offer programmatic ads for the email reach platform. So if you currently have an email newsletter that you're putting out now, and you haven't added any advertising to that, we now have that available. And you can see here, this is basically a banner ad that can go towards the top of the email, or we have kind of paid recommendations that can be added to those emails as well. And that's just a way to really help monetize the emails that you're already sending out. I will say that another way really to think about, and I think I might have this on another slide, but I'll just mention it here as well. So once you're involved in this program and you realize that you're going to be able to make, $180 off per month on a newsletter of this size, if you add another newsletter for sports or for calendar or for whatever, then you can kind of gauge that you'll be able to make, $200 a month or another $100 or whatever. So that's another way to help improve revenue there. I'll talk quickly about Games Perform is a new platform that we have. It's a great way to do kind of really fun contests in the sports area, exactly. We have prep contests and college pro sports. There's a lot of advertising opportunities throughout the page. It's really cool because the users themselves can create their own leagues where they're guessing on sports scores and who's going to win each week, and then they get points for who's going to win. But they can all play each other, or you can actually pick experts at your organization and then they do their own picks and kind of bet against the actual user. So it's a really fun thing. It's a great way to give out prizes, to give out different types of additional bonus questions and answers. You can actually create your own little avatar in the system using a fun sports jersey and all this stuff. So there's a lot of really fun things that you can do in the system. It's great for user engagement, and it's a really fun thing to do, depending on the type of sport, for basketball or football that you want to do. So it's a lot of fun. So now we're going to get into some things specifically with content and kind of packaging together content and monetizing that. This is something that we've come out with recently, a way to monetize photos, basically your local photos on the site. And it actually doesn't matter if you use our platform or another platform. But what I mostly wanted to talk about was, this is a great way to, it's just a great way to kind of make money with photos and allow those to be available to the public. And one thing that we've seen that is very popular is if you're actually going to, like taking pictures of the prom or taking pictures of graduation, those sorts of things. Sports events are really great. And then you make those available online, and people love buying those. So that's a great way to get people involved in the site. You're getting the page views for that, and they're purchasing photos. In our e-edition platform, we have a lot of people now that are doing e-editions with kind of a full page view of the e-edition itself. And obviously when the whole page takes up the viewport of the page, you can't put any ads that aren't already there in the print version, obviously. But if you're doing what we call a segmented version, where we pull out the content over here and put it on the side, you're actually able to add banner ads, and you can see kind of right here the banner ad. And that's something you're able to add to the content on the page. So that's a great way to add additional page views and monetization of the e-edition platform. So if you haven't put banner ads there, that's another place where you got a lot of people that are viewing those pages, and they're viewing they have a high page views per session of those on the e-edition platform. So make sure that you're monetizing that as well. And then an additional thing to think of is that if you have any type of print content or magazines or anything that you're doing currently, make sure that those are being digitized, and again, that you have banner ads that are included in those positions. So it's a nice thing to add there if you're not already putting ads in those positions. So email newsletters, I talked about this a little bit in terms of the programmatic, but just remember that in addition to programmatic and being able to create new newsletters that can show advertising and can target additional people, remember that you can also do sponsorships on those emails. So if you wanted to talk to a local advertiser, and you could start up a parenting newsletter, for example, that has parenting content, and then you could go to a local, either a hospital or maybe like a toy store or something like that, and actually get them to sponsor that specific email that is targeted towards the type of people that they're interested in targeting.
A kid's consignment shop.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like Once Upon a Child, those types of things. So that that's a franchise that we might have a local franchise available there. So there's a lot of opportunities that are available there. And then also remember that if you have featured content, if you offer a featured classifieds program or featured jobs, those types of things, you can include, and that's one of the great things about blocks, is that the email newsletters are built out of the same blocks technology that you're using elsewhere. So if you have featured job listings or featured home listings or featured realtors, that kind of thing, you can actually make a block of that featured content and include that on the newsletter as well. So it's a really great way to add additional value to possibly programs that you're already doing. I'm sure you've heard a lot about our content exchange program. This is really just a sharing program that we have set up with hundreds of our different partners throughout the country. I think we have like 500 sites now that are participating in this. It's really amazing. So essentially what happens is that each of the sites will contribute their top content that they're doing over the course of the day to our syndication hub, essentially. And then we're evaluating the best content from that area and then re-syndicating it back out to the sites. So it's a great way to just get additional content. You can think about all the different sections we have available. There's a couple up here that you can see: agriculture, entertainment, health, etc. These are coming from our just various different partners that we have. And then you can actually use that content to create additional content on your site. You can use this, we were talking about parenting. You can use this to create parenting content and a parenting section on your site. So it's a great way to add additional content. So kind of looking at other types of sponsorship capabilities that you might have for a specific advertiser, you can really look at, what are the needs of that advertiser, and then how can you help meet those needs with your site. This is a great example on QC Times where they partnered with Hy-Vee, which is a grocery store, and they actually have in their navigation a Hy-Vee button right here. And when you click on that, you go to like a Hy-Vee section on the site that has all of their ads and content that they've produced. So it's a great way to really help drive traffic to that advertiser and to create a special kind of content item for that particular situation. So I mentioned a little bit about featured content. This is where you're putting together a program for classifieds or for calendars, and you're basically upselling a calendar event or maybe a business listing, and then creating a promoted event that goes maybe on the front page or on the calendar page. And let's say they have, it's like $10 to feature this on the front page, or maybe it's $100 to feature this on the front page. And that's just a great way to give them additional promotion capabilities to promote that. And then you could also put this on an email newsletter as well. So paid recommendations, this is a really easy way to add additional value to the page. This is normally just placed at the bottom of articles. We partner with Taboola to produce these little additional paid recommendations. They're targeted to the individual user, and then you get money basically each time someone clicks on those. So it's a great way to make additional money. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about a new program that we've put together recently called Blocks Offers. And it's essentially a local coupon guide. And you can see over here a bunch of different examples of coupons, and they're shareable. They can be related to businesses with their business logos there. You can have ones that are just kind of included from a coupon book or something like that. And then you can also have ones that are featured, and you can pull them out. It's really mobile friendly, so it's a great way to have a mobile version of the site. And it's just especially if you have like a print book or some other kind of partnership with local advertisers, it's a great way to, have a digital version of that can go online. You can also imagine, working with local advertisers and promoting upcoming sales that they might have and kind of creating a calendar of sales that are coming up. So it's just a great way to work with local businesses and promote their content. So obits and announcements, this is still, one of the most popular sections that you have on the site. And it's a great way to have really promote local content and content from actually your users, especially for things like, obviously, the more positive categories like weddings and engagements and things like that, births. Yeah, and just to kind of look at those and put them together and package them together onto a page and really promote that content. We have a lot of different capabilities here and categories where you can create these special sites and have like an ad next to them, put together a newsletter for these. And there's a lot of different categories that are available. There's a couple of really fun things that people have done recently where we've seen a lot of our sites actually do things with pets that are really popular. When somebody, goes to a rescue and they adopt a pet, they do a pet announcement of their adoption. And it's kind of similar to a birth announcement where you can do a picture of the pet and when it was adopted and, their birth date or whatever you could put on there. And it's just...
Which would be great to tie in with a local advertiser and
Right.
the humane societies, and you could get a sponsor for it. These kind of sections and categories are really great advertising opportunities too. So,
And people love their pets.
oh my gosh, yeah. Were you telling me about pet weddings?
So that's something we actually have had probably, I know of at least two or three different people who have at least asked about pet weddings, that they wanted to be able to create a pet wedding section. And then people could, just like they would with a regular, wedding announcement for humans, they were able to put together a pet wedding section. And, just like you would with a human announcement, they would say, they're going to, have a pet wedding on March 5th, and here's a picture of them in a little tutu or whatever. And then people will pay, $175 or whatever to have their pet wedding in the paper and then have a digital version of it. So the really nice thing about blocks, though, is that it allows you to really create any type of section that you want. So if you want to do something about veterans, because you have a lot of veteran congratulations or announcements in your area, that's something that you can just create a new section for that and then start to advertise to get those types of ads and then package them, put them together on the site for that particular type of content. So if there's something that's special in your area that you think that you could put together a specific type of ad for that, that's something that you're very easily able to set up within the block system. Another thing that we've seen a lot of people very successful with is doing just different types of contests in the system. And again, this doesn't have to be, a lot of people use different vendors and other types of systems to kind of produce these contests. But if you don't want to have something that complicated, it's very easy to do just a form in Blocks, for example, where you can submit your picture, or you could enter into a contest to win a prize, that type of thing. And that's all very easy to do within the system. So I also wanted just to mention, if you're doing something either in print, or even if you're a radio station, for example, you might be doing a little segment of the show to talk about a specific type of guide for your local area. It might be rental, it might be jobs. We already talked about pets a little bit. There's different types of content that you might be promoting in your particular area. And just remember that you can kind of digitize that and again, put it online. So here's a couple of really great examples of putting together a pet section. Again, imagine if you did start creating, you have pet memoriams, pet adoptions, and pet weddings.
Yeah.
All of those things put together. And then you can actually take content from the content exchange and put that together into a pet section. People would love that.
Plus your pet classifieds, plus your pet.
Right, exactly. The pet classifieds are still really popular on sites. So that's something where you can put all of that stuff together and try to create a section out of that. So now we're going to talk a little bit about membership and just essentially a couple of things regarding, if you have a platform where you're doing either subscription or you're asking people to log in to receive additional benefits. So again, if you're a broadcaster and you don't really have you definitely don't have a kind of a print subscription, you still might want to offer a membership opportunity just for people who are, coming to your site and subscribing, maybe in order to be a member. They get a special newsletter. We've had a lot of people, I think that this, the Omaha, over here, their Subscriber Plus program that they have available. This is essentially, if you sign up for the Subscriber Plus program, you get less ads on the page if you're, logged in and you're a subscriber. So that was a big reason that a lot of people said they were interested in signing up, was so that they could see less ads. They got a faster experience and a faster loading time, just because of the fact that they didn't have the ads on the page and other types of trackers that were on the page. So the pages end up being faster. And then you might have access to additional types of content. There's probably, enterprise content that's graded by the paper, might only be available to the Subscriber Plus subscribers, commenting, those types of things. So all of those can be put together into a membership platform that you're able to offer to just the people who are either subscribed at that level or subscribers in general. And I mentioned if you're a broadcaster or even an online-only site and you don't have a print product, if you're a radio station, for example, you can still create a membership platform using essentially the same technology as the subscription system. But of course, obviously just with no print component. But you can say, for example, most of our content is free, but you have to be a VIP member in order to access, certain areas. So that's something that is definitely, a trend with people looking to do more of that membership platform stuff. And so a couple other things too. Like this is a good example from Richmond Source, which is an online-only paper or online-only site. They actually have a newsletter that you get as part of being a member. You have special content that, like a Facebook group that is only available to their members. You might be able to work with local businesses to get, discounts or like a membership card or that type of thing. So there's a lot of things that you can do in this area. I also wanted to mention Google surveys, which I think a lot of people are using this now, but it's a great way, again, to monetize some of your pages, especially if you're doing like metered content. It's a way to do a survey on the free article views before they hit a paywall. So great opportunity there. A couple other things to mention. We have a lot of different people, again, just looking for kind of success stories that we've seen out in the area, kind of selling merchandise. This is, a little bit more for promotion of your brand and things like that, but a lot of people can, sell books or sell t-shirts, anything like that. I just really think that it's good, and I'm sure that, obviously everyone has done this, but just to say this, whatever your specialty is in your area, if you're an agriculture site, if you have, I used to work in Northwest Indiana and John Dillinger was a big thing out there. So any of those types of things, you can look at doing a book, merchandise, etc. There's also a lot of opportunities with event sponsorships. So look at doing, it's a great way to do both, like cross-branding and marketing of your brand, as well as helping the community, as well as there's revenue opportunities available there to, sell sponsorships, to sell ads, to promote the event coming up, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of opportunities there for revenue. If there's a bridal fair, it might be that you, as the publication in the area, are actually the sponsor of it, and then you actually sell other people to participate in it, or maybe you're partnering with somebody in the area who's running it, and then you're just like a major sponsor of that. So that's something that is very popular at a lot of publications currently. Again, radio stations are great at doing this. Broadcasters are great at partnering for these types of content event sponsorships. So that's something to look at, and it's hard to do. There's a lot of work behind it, but it's just a great way to generate additional revenue and then to market your brand. And I think that's it for everything. So yeah. I did want to say one additional really quick thing at the end here. So, and I mentioned this previously, but if there's any of these ideas that hopefully you saw at least one or two things that you think would be a good idea or something that you might be interested in or something that you haven't done yet. And if any of these kind of sparks any ideas and you want to know, how to do this, or you need any kind of help in this area, or what our recommendations would be, feel free to talk to your sales rep, and they will have a lot of additional information about either particular products or vendors that we partner with to produce certain things. Or just submit a ticket and we can help you out there as well. So, and I would like to thank our staff and some of our partners who provided some of this content. And thanks to the Blueprints for Success presentation that we do. And if you're interested in seeing that presentation, then again, contact your sales rep and we can help set that up as well.
Great. You ready for some questions?
Sure.
First one, are you okay?
Yes, sorry. Sorry if it sounds, yeah, it's just yeah, sorry.
I think your allergies are through
Yes,
the roof. So
exactly.
Thank you, everyone, for your concern. Okay, do the creative ads have to be through Google Ad Manager? Is there a place where I can get a demo and show that to customers?
Yes, the creative ads do have to be through Google Ad Manager. And yeah, if you want to submit a ticket, we can, there's some examples that we have on our help site. So I can actually just start by searching there, and there's a couple of examples that you find there. And if you need more help, then you can submit a ticket.
Okay, can you send us this deck? Yes, absolutely. We will send this out when we send out the recording. And because you've signed up, you should get the email soon. Can we get some more products added to the photo sales options?
Yeah, so that's something that we're working on right now. The vendor that we use has a lot of additional options, but we did some testing, and because of how the interface works, if you have too many additional products, you can't see them, especially on the mobile side, so that's something that we're working on.
Can the blocks offers be supported by self-service?
Yes, there's a couple of different ways, either through AdOwl or through a classified submission that can do that.
So once it's set up, you can pretty much let
Yep.
it go.
As well as upsell, so if they wanted to feature one, that's a capability that we have as well.
Likewise, can the announcements be readily supported by self-service to streamline and automate this feature?
Yeah, we have a lot, so I won't get too much into the weeds here, but it is possible to do right now. Depending on how you set it up, it might not be as optimal as it can be, but I will say that we're working on a couple different things in this area that we should have hopefully later this year that we think will really optimize this process. So if you're really interested in more information about that, then feel free to either talk to your sales rep or submit a ticket, and we can kind of go into the details of that. But it is an area in general where we think that there's a lot of, especially, as I was kind of talking about the different types of content and ads that you can provide. I saw one place that did they called it 4 generations, which probably everybody, do you know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, where they have
With my baby,
Yes.
and my mom, and my grandma.
Exactly. And so then they basically take a picture of that, and then you can kind of submit that as an ad, and people love that stuff, and you get the opportunity to get in the paper, or featured on the radio station during their segment about this. And so this is something that is just a great way to get local content. And so that's something where you could actually start that as a new initiative and then just keep that up throughout the year.
But once it's set up, it's pretty much self-serve.
Yes, it's all self-serve, and with self-serve upgrade opportunities as well.
What are infinity content ads that were on the first slide?
Yeah, so I actually will, let me just show you this really quick. We actually have, this is just something that we actually built for one of our partners, where this is a grid block, and this particular grid block is set up to be in infinity mode, which just basically means that when you get to the bottom of the block, it loads additional content. It lazy loads the content as you go down the page until there isn't more, basically. So depending on the section, there might be a lot of content there. One of the things that we built in, though, was the ability to do an ad in the middle of the content. So I have this set up to do an ad every, 6, 7 spots within this scroll here. So as we go down, you can see that I have ads every couple of things as they go down. So, and then this is basically just infinity until I hit the bottom.
But now there's a new option where you can tell it to load more.
Yep.
So.
Exactly. So, and then, as you can see that there's additional spots that will load as you go down the page. And these also have the ability to refresh as well as you're scrolling up and down the page. And again, this is really mobile friendly. So when it's on mobile, it's just a great block to kind of put at the bottom of, and again, this is on the front page, so it's not even on the article page. So you can have this on the front page of the site itself or on the news section targeted specifically with news content. And integrated with ads throughout the page. It's just a nice way to, a very mobile-friendly way to, again, the thing that we're trying to get to, especially on the mobile side, is showing, a couple of screens of content and then an ad, and then a couple of screens of content and an ad. And that's kind of the mobile formula for how to really mix in an optimal number of ads without annoying the user, right? So that as long as they have like a couple of screens of content, they accept the ad and then a couple of screens of content. So that's kind of the math that we want to get to. So this type of scenario where you've got the grid stories and then an ad and then the grid stories and the ad is a great way to get to that math, basically.
Great. Who can I reach out to about IQ ads and setting up Google Ad Manager?
Yes, you can talk to your salesperson or submit a ticket, and we've got a whole process for how to get you started on that.
But it's not a hard process.
It's great to do, and it's something that we really we've seen it's definitely beneficial to both get the expertise of that team to help you, as well as to get the process that we've put together. We're really experts in this area now, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we can definitely help you increase your CPMs for programmatic ads. So if you're not doing that currently, I would definitely reach out to your salesperson or submit a ticket, and we can get you started talking about that.
Can funeral homes submit obituaries and receive an automated receipt cost quote?
It depends on what you mean by receive a receipt. We do have kind of when they're placing an ad through, for example, Ad Owl, you do get an email receipt back. But if you're talking about a funeral home that doesn't pay for it at the time and does kind of like an invoice thing, that is something that we're talking about doing that for the future. So let us know, if you want to, again, submit a ticket and let us know specifically what you're looking for. We can kind of find out more details about that and see if that's something that we're either working on or that we can do now. But we do have the ability for a funeral home to create an account on the site, submit their ads on the site, and then they get an email receipt back with that.
We use Second Street for our newsletters. Can IQ Ads interface onto their platform?
Right now, we don't work with external platforms because there's a lot of to make it all work together, there were a lot of things that we had to do to make sure that the ad tags weren't overwritten and a bunch of different things that made that's a relatively complicated process to show programmatic ads on emails. So right now it doesn't work with Second Street, but if I would actually recommend if you contacted Second Street and asked if they had any recommendations for programmatic ad platforms that worked with their system, I'm sure that they would have recommendations there.
Or move to email reach.
Yeah, it is. I will say, the just because it's a kind of funny story, but putting ads on emails is actually a surprisingly difficult thing, just because of the fact that the email platforms typically don't show JavaScript, and all of these programmatic ads are all built off of JavaScript. So figuring out kind of the technology to show the programmatic ads, there's a lot of special sauce that goes into that. And then to get that to continue to work, once it goes through blocks, once it gets scraped, once it gets normalized, and then we send it off to a vendor, then it has to go through the vendor process, and then it has to be emailed, and it goes to your email client. There's like 10 different people, 10 different things that are involved, and each one of those 10 people can like screw stuff up in the process. So it was a lot of hoops to go through, and we did get it working. So yeah, as of right now, that's something that it is only available on the email reach platform because we had to kind of build in a lot of loopholes into that system so it continued to work.
Can you set up Google questions to only hit the screens of non-subscribers? Google
surveys, yes. That is something that we can do. That's something a lot of people with the subscriber, kind of like a subscriber plus a membership program, that is something where you can say, I think that it was St. Louis Post-Dispatch that I saw, where they had part of the benefits of their digital membership is you don't see surveys anymore. So that was something that they really touted as part of the benefits of their membership. So yeah, that is something that you can do. Is again, you're really monetizing the page views for your non-subscribers, and that's definitely something that is possible.
And some sites are doing that for registrations to get email addresses, so
Yes.
they can send email newsletters and make the revenue that way.
Right? Yeah.
How do I set up Google surveys?
Hey, Google Surveys is kind of a subscription option that we have available. Again, you can talk to your sales rep or submit a ticket, and then we can get started on that. We've had a really good experience with it. It actually provides really good CPMs. I will say that the surveys themselves come in. There's kind of an ebb and flow for how the availability of surveys. So depending on your particular area or the type of site that you are, that sort of thing, you might have more or less surveys available to your site. But if you do have a scenario where you're getting a lot of surveys delivered to your site, they are really good CPMs. So it's a great way to, again, increase revenue. It's just like anything, you can't depend on necessarily that money all the time, but it's a great way to make revenue.
All right, that looks like all the questions we have. Thank you very much. There are lots of ways to stay connected with us. Check out our documentation at help.blockcms.com that Christine mentioned. You can find a lot of quick answers there for some of this stuff. You can call our support line at 800-293-9576 or visit support.townnews.com. You can visit our partner community, community.townnews.com, which is a great place to go find out what other people are doing, ask questions, get feedback, see if something works. There's a lot of nice chatter there about what everyone's doing. You can check I always mess this one up, the status of our servers at townnews.status.io. You can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. And we have a number of newsletters that you can sign up for on our news page on our website. And if you register for today's webinar, you are automatically added to our announcements list, and you will get the recording and any upcoming webinars. And that is all we have for today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christine, for all the ideas. I can't wait to hear how everyone implements them.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, let us know if you have any ideas of any kind of new program that you've put together or something that's successful in your area. Please send me an email at cmasters@townnews.com. We always are interested in kind of your success stories and what's working for you. And then we can share that in a future webinar or blog post.
Sounds great. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.